So first of all, I'd like to present to you who is SOPERA, a little bit about the company profile, about the history of SOPERA, and why we are doing open source. Then next, I'll present the product, the components which the product consists of, so you can be better prepared for the customer case study I'm going to present and to discuss with you. Yeah, and at the end of the presentation we have enough time for questions. So who is SOPERA? SOPERA is a German company founded 3 years ago. It's an open source company. It's privately held. It has around about 60 employees, and 2/3 are working in the development. SOPERA is a strategic board member of the Eclipse Foundation and the project lead of the project Swordfish, which is the core of the Eclipse SOA initiative within the Eclipse Foundation. Yeah, and given the fact that we are 3 years old and 3 years working on the market, we have more than 30 customers by now. SOPERA as a company is young, but the product is a very mature product because it was developed at the German Post, the Deutsche Post in Germany, who is I think the 6th largest company of the world. So it's one of the major logistics services provider in the world. And they decided not to choose a closed source integration platform, but to implement their own platform in order to be able to act flexible when requirements change. So the platform developed there went live in 2001, and now at the time I'm speaking there are about 200 services, mission critical services running at the German Post with about 5,000 different operations. So the German Post is not well known as a software developer and vendor, and therefore they choose to sell this platform to a new company so that it can be also open sourced, and this is what SOPERA did. Why open source? Because mature open source software creates high business value. This is what we see, of course, a lot in Germany where we are based, but we are also working on the internationalization, and we are working in different countries in Europe, in South America, in the US, and okay, I have to admit this is the second time in France, in Paris. So the benefits you get from open source: first of all, higher flexibility. There's no vendor lock-in due to the framework, so you get the source code and first of all, you see what is inside of the product, but you are also able to enhance the product, to adapt it to your own requirements. Yeah, the freedom to adapt the code, and as all you know, open source is really based on open standards because of the interoperability between the components. The better quality, this is I think it's from Linus, given enough eyeballs, all bugs are shallow, so many people are working using open source components, and therefore they quickly find existing bugs and fix them. The lower cost is risen by, in case of SOPERA, there is no license cost. So the lower cost is due to the support and maintenance contracts which you offer, but from a starting point you don't have to pay any license costs when you use SOPERA. As I mentioned, SOPERA is driving the Eclipse SOA initiative within the Eclipse Foundation, and we are leading the project Swordfish, which is the core of an SOA runtime environment within Eclipse. So let's have a look at the SOPERA Advanced Services Factory, at the product suite. Before we start looking at the different components, I'd like to show you this enterprise project scenario. So what you see here is a layered architecture with a data layer. Then you see in the middle the service-oriented architecture where the services reside. And the services exposed in the middle layer can be then orchestrated and composed using business process management. Across those three layers, we have governance and operation components, which are taking care of all technical aspects. For example, if a service is up and running, but also of business aspects like key performance indicators, for example, the response time of a service, which might be mission critical for the business, and also the different metrics related to the business services, for example, the amount of requests in a certain period of time. What you see here in this picture is a mapping of those layers to the SOPERA, to the components provided by SOPERA. So we have SOPERA DI for data integration, the SOPERA ESB, the Enterprise Service Bus, then SOPERA BPM for business process management, and SOPERA HQ for management and monitoring. So SOPERA covers all major aspects of enterprise integration, and the core is the Enterprise Service Bus, which provides a couple of capabilities, unique capabilities. For example, the dynamic mediation. It is a highly distributed enterprise service bus, so it has no hub and spoke architecture, no central node, which might become a bottleneck when it comes to scalability and performance. Then it is completed by integration. SOPERA has an open architecture, so that it can provide your own plugins to integrate with the enterprise service bus. We also offer a couple of plugins for data integration, for example, for also integration with commercial products, Software AG Webmethods, SAP NetWeaver, Microsoft BizDoc. So just a few examples. Then we have, as a cornerstone, all the security capabilities. So within a SOA, you'd like to know who is able to access the services, the business services, the mission critical services. So you have the capability to define users, roles, and access privileges for the service and for the service operations. And also, for example, for message encryption, message signature, you are able to administer, to manage all the public and private keys within SOPERA. For the application development, we follow a model-driven approach. So you define your service interface, and from then on you execute a code generator, which is able to generate code either for the Java Standard Edition or for the Java Enterprise Edition, or even for the .NET world, for the Microsoft world. So it depends on you which technology you'd like to use to implement your services within your service-oriented architecture. Another key capability of SOPERA, through its dynamic mediation, it's based on service governance. So what you get is